The Georgia Department of Corrections, GDC, is committed to the sexual safety of our offenders. As part of this commitment, we want to introduce you to an important federal law called the Prison Rape Elimination Act, known as Prea. This law was put in place to help us protect our offenders by preventing, detecting, and deterring sexual abuse and sexual harassment. We have adopted a zero tolerance policy against sexual abuse and sexual harassment, meaning that this department does not tolerate any form of sexual abuse or sexual harassment to offenders. To aid us in this, we have fully adopted the federal Prea standards. As part of the standards, the GDC has a statewide Prea coordinator. To exceed the Prea standards, the GDC created a Prea unit that is solely dedicated to the sexual safety of our offenders. The GDC Prea unit works with the Prea coordinator to develop, implement, and oversee agency efforts to comply with the Prea standards in all our facilities. The Prea policy for the GDC is SOP 208.06. All Prea allegations will be taken seriously and fully investigated. You have the right to be free from sexual abuse and sexual harassment, as well as the right to be free from retaliation for reporting or cooperating in any Prea investigation. This video will provide information on policy, procedure, reporting, and most importantly, the roles each of us play regarding sexual safety. Remember, knowledge is your first step to sexual safety. First, we need to define what we mean when we say sexual abuse and sexual harassment. Sexual abuse can be between offenders or between a staff member and an offender. Sexual abuse includes activities such as intercourse, oral sex, and any other intentional touching, either directly or through clothing, of a person's breast, buttocks, or groin area. Sexual abuse is when a victim does not consent, is coerced into such acts by threats of violence, or is unable to consent or refuse. Sexual contact or the request for sexual favors between a staff member and an offender is illegal and considered abuse, even if the staff or offender believes it to be consensual. By law, offenders cannot consent to sexual activity with a staff member.
Hey, let's go have sex.
Man, no.
The inmate does not have to answer. At this point, the staff member is already in violation of the law and has committed sexual abuse of an inmate. Another example of sexual abuse is voyeurism. This is an invasion of privacy of an offender by staff for reasons unrelated to official duties. This is not voyeurism because the officer is performing official duties. This is considered voyeurism. Inmate to inmate sexual harassment is repeated and unwanted verbal comments or gestures of a sexual nature to an offender by another offender.
So, you don't want to have sex with
No.
If this is the end of the interaction, it is not considered inmate on inmate sexual harassment because it is not repeated. But in our scenario, the interaction continues.
Come on, man. You know you want just as bad as I do.
That's not my thing. Leave me alone.
Now it is considered inmate on inmate sexual harassment since it is a repeated and unwanted request. As you have seen, the scenario is the same between inmate to inmate and staff to inmate interaction, but the type of offense is different. If an inmate repeatedly makes unwanted sexual requests to another inmate, it is considered sexual harassment. If a staff member asks for sexual favors from an inmate, it is considered sexual abuse, even if only asked once. Staff to inmate sexual harassment is repeated and unwanted verbal comments or gestures of a sexual nature by a staff member to an inmate, including demeaning references to gender and sexually suggestive or derogatory comments about body or clothing.
You have a very sexy body.
You're not supposed to talk to me like that.
If this interaction ends here, it is not considered staff to inmate sexual harassment because it is not repeated. However, this incident is unprofessional and should be reported as a violation of agency standards of conduct policy. It will not be investigated as a Prea incident because it does not fit the definitions. However, if the scenario continues, The staff member originally told the inmate they had a sexy body. They again made a similar statement. This makes it staff to inmate sexual harassment since the comments were both unwanted and repeated. This report will be investigated as a Prea allegation. One thing we need to understand is the dynamics of sexual abuse and sexual harassment are different in a confinement setting than they are in a community. In the community, victims can often immediately distance themselves from their aggressors and or the location of the event. In a confinement setting, however, sexual abuse victims are often surrounded by constant reminders or triggers of their experience. Since they have no control of their housing, they can be prone to seeing their abuser and the location of the abuse on a continuous basis. Constant exposure to these triggers can worsen the trauma, impact their recovery, cause them to behave in unpredictable ways, and create safety concerns for themselves, staff, and other inmates if not immediately addressed. Reporting any traumatic or sensitive incident can be very difficult no matter where you are. In confinement facilities, several factors can affect reporting. Inmates might fear the perpetrator, feel shame, embarrassment, or confusion, fear of being labeled a snitch or looking weak, have difficulty knowing who to trust with the report, fear retaliation by staff or other offenders for reporting, fear losing privileges that are very important to them. These factors can lead to late reporting of an incident or even deter the reporting of an incident altogether. It is the goal of the GDC to encourage a strong reporting environment to better ensure the sexual safety of our offenders. You have the right to be free from sexual abuse and sexual harassment. You also have the right to be free from retaliation for reporting sexual abuse and sexual harassment. Since staff members at GDC facilities are placed in a position of custodial authority over offenders, sometimes offenders feel like they have no choice but to consent if they are asked to engage in sexual activities with a staff member. Remember, it is not only against GDC policy for staff members to do so, but also against state and federal law. Inmates cannot consent to sexual activity with staff. This type of request should be reported immediately. Though rape is never the fault of the victim, there are some things you can do or look for to help you reduce your chances of being sexually abused. An abuser will often target a victim by being overly friendly, offering unsolicited favors, offering goods and services, commissary items, protection, drugs or alcohol, illegal use of cell phones, extra state issued items, any other good or service. Demands: sex in exchange for debts, extortion, blackmail, threats or coercion, rent. A staff abuser will often target a victim by offering to bring contraband into the facility, offering to bend or break the rules, secretly take offenders into unauthorized areas, sexualizing the environment by always using sexual language or making lewd jokes. Remember, nothing is for free. In addition to knowing what to look for, here are some activities to avoid. Drug and or alcohol use. You should avoid situations where you become incapacitated physically or mentally and are unable to defend yourself against sexual abuse. Debts. Gambling. Losing more than you can pay back opens yourself up to demands for sex instead. Contraband items. Purchasing drugs, cell phones, tobacco, or any other contraband item can leave you vulnerable for demands of sexual favors as payment. Intimate relationships. Sexual relationships between offenders are a violation of GDC policy and procedure. Violators are subject to disciplinary actions. No means no, and yes is not allowed. Developing an intimate relationship can lead to the expectation of sexual activity. That expectation can lead to forced sex if the perpetrator feels it is owed to them. Remember, even if you were once in a consensual relationship with someone sexually, you have the right to be free from sexual abuse. GDC has put several methods in place to make reporting as easy and confidential as possible. You can report sexual abuse or sexual harassment verbally or in writing directly to a staff member, by utilizing the Prea telephone hotline, by sending an email to Prea through the kiosk or gold device. You, your family, or another third party can write directly to the Prea coordinator's office, ombudsman, or the Office of Victim Services. Here's the contact information for each. A According to GDC policy, sexual abuse and sexual harassment are not addressed using the grievance procedure. Any grievance received regarding these subjects will be treated as a written report and thoroughly investigated through the SART investigation process. Every Prea report will be investigated. The GDC takes these reports very seriously. When an offender knowingly lies about a Prea incident, it impacts both offenders and staff at the facility by diverting vital, limited resources away from legitimate Prea cases. This decreases everyone's safety and will result in disciplinary actions being taken, up to and including prosecution. This is not meant to deter reporting any suspected or actual instances of sexual abuse or sexual harassment, but serve as a reminder that Prea allegations are taken seriously and is meant to protect you. Good faith reporting will not result in disciplinary action. We hope this never happens to you, but in the case that you are sexually abused, it is important to know what to expect. Every facility in the GDC has a sexual abuse response team whose function is to respond to and investigate sexual abuse and sexual harassment that occurs at their facility. Cases that are potentially criminal in nature are also investigated by the Office of Professional Standards. You have the right to request a victim advocate to accompany and support you through the forensic medical examination process and investigatory interviews. They shall also provide emotional support, crisis intervention, information, and referrals. Victim advocates are not authorized to represent you or argue on your behalf. Your safety is always our first concern. Any steps necessary to ensure your safety will be taken. In addition, a staff member will assist you in reaching medical services as soon as possible. Any treatment or examinations related to sexual abuse are free of charge. Your consent will be asked to have a forensic examination conducted by a trained sexual abuse nurse examiner. Forensic evidence may be collected to assist in holding the perpetrator accountable. To preserve important evidence, it is best not to wash yourself or affected clothing, eat or drink anything, brush your teeth, smoke cigarettes, use the bathroom. The SART investigator and or OPS investigator will interview you and any witness you may have. Our Prea investigators are trained to be sensitive to your privacy and safety. Be as specific and accurate as possible so all avenues of investigation can be used to make a good case. The investigator may follow up with you multiple times if clarification is needed. You will be notified of the results of the investigation. As an offender in the GDC, you have the right to receive ongoing care for issues related to your trauma, both medical and mental health, free of charge. Your medical needs will be assessed and a treatment plan developed which addresses your needs. If pregnancy tests, STD testing, or any other treatment is required, it will also be done free of charge. After your report of sexual abuse, you will also be given a referral to the mental health department. Though it is not mandatory you accept it, we recommend you take advantage of this service to help you cope with your experience in a positive way. Many of our facilities have agreements with outside rape crisis centers to help provide emotional support services from trained rape crisis counselors who work with community rape crisis programs, even if you choose not to report the rape. They are only there to assist in matters pertaining to sexual abuse. The contact information will be posted in the common area of your facility so you can take advantage of these services. If an outside crisis center is not available at your facility, every facility has an internal advocate available to assist with your needs. The common reactions of sexual abuse and sexual harassment victims. How to detect and respond to signs of threatening and actual sexual abuse. How to avoid inappropriate relationships with offenders. How to communicate effectively and professionally with other offenders. How to communicate effectively and professionally with offenders, including LGBTI and gender non-conforming offenders. How to comply with relevant laws related to mandatory reporting of sexual abuse to outside authorities. Sometimes you may believe you have formed a bond or a relationship with another offender while you are here. Some of those relationships can be healthy, but sometimes the relationship is unhealthy or abusive. A healthy relationship with someone else means never being asked to do something that is against the law or the rules. A healthy relationship should make you feel confident in yourself and bring you joy and self-worth. A healthy relationship never includes hitting, verbal abuse or yelling, shaming, forced sex or coerced or pressured sex, or other favors that can make you feel unworthy or bad inside. Thank you for your time and attention to this topic. We hope this information has been helpful to you. If you or someone you know is being sexually abused or sexually harassed, report it. It is up to all of us to ensure sexual safety. Thank you.